Woo woo.
This coffee's good.
Pull over. That too fat. Sorry.
It's a different show.
Lyrics will be dropped here.
What's up, y'all? It's Ashley.
I'm Fee.
It's Melody.
And Cody here. And you've tapped into
The Mama's Den.
Oh, man.
My kind of
And
party.
ass might get thrown in a circle.
Yes.
If my hip was right.
I was going to say, what's that like right now?
You
Anyway.
know, okay.
So good morning in the den.
It is a good
morning.
Yeah, I love it.
Y'all, we're going to jump in. Y'all know who we are. But our next guest, as David Letterman says, our next guest needs no introduction. The queen, entrepreneur, mama, auntie, wife, the vegan master, Miss Tabitha Brown.
The ray of sunshine.
That part,
Right?
yes. So we're really excited to have you here.
Well,
we could talk
thank
to you
you.
for 100 episodes.
Well, thank y'all for having me. Come on, 100 episodes.
Yes. So before we ask you all of our questions, will you give us a little bit of what's happening right now? There's things to look forward to.
Oh, what's happening right now, like in my world, like
Yes,
what's going on?
in your world.
Let's see. I'm going on tour Fridays
that's
with
right.
Tab and Chance with my husband. It's our first time. Is this my camera right here?
Yes.
This is our first time going on tour live.
Oh.
Anything can happen. Jesus. But we're excited about it.
Yeah.
And we're also using this as an opportunity to market and launch our new fragrance.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if anybody smelled me.
I
smelled
did.
you.
It's the
We
first
know
thing
this.
I said. I said, "Oh, you smell
It
good."
does. I know.
It's a little Fridays with Tab, and here's this Fridays with Chance.
How
And so we have
cute.
fragrance coming out this year. And I have my first children's book that I'm releasing, Hello There Sunshine, and that comes out
How
in March.
cute.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's very fitting.
Yes,
I love this.
it's like little Tabitha. She got
Yeah.
a little afro and everything.
Oh, I love
And it's
it.
based on my childhood. And it is to teach children that they are the sunshine in somebody else's life, including their own. And I'll go on tour for that in March.
Nice.
And then I'm doing a new show. I don't know if I can talk about that yet. When will this?
Okay, we'll hold
Can
that.
we say new show?
I have a new show that I'm doing for small businesses to bless them.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that.
You know,
That's
and,
beautiful.
and more stuff coming out at Target all the time.
Okay,
Yes,
period.
there's some stuff right now.
Yeah, new drops.
All right.
Stationery, kitchen. Yeah.
And we need it. We need those rays of sunshine in our homes
Thank
and
you.
our lives, in our kids' books.
It's giving modern Martha Stewart, and I'm into it.
Ooh,
I
what do you
love this
think of
for
that
you.
reference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does that
I just
bother
think-
you, or do we love it? Just don't go to jail. Pay your taxes.
Listen, I like Martha, but I just be like, I'm just Tab.
I feel
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Only
like it's
because
my
Martha was like
personality.
really in the kitchen. Like
Yeah.
she was
Well,
really doing
you know when
the
I think of
things.
Martha, I just think of her like being at the top
Yeah.
and like dominating. So you just dominating.
That
That's
part.
it.
I'll take it.
Because you ain't her, you, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
gonna get that Martha
you
money,
know,
though.
we love Martha though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She, you know, she with
a
us.
real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she be over there.
She
Tab,
only-
I'm really like sitting here just in awe of, I think, everybody who has experienced your journey, to sit with you here in this couch, to have you here, and to just know, like, we're talking, and we were just talking off camera about when we met,
Yes.
hosting an event for BET Weekend, and then you have built your whole brand. I mean, we're talking Target drops, we're talking recipe books, author, I mean, clothing. You have done so much. It's really remarkable. It's
you.
really remarkable, and it's honestly an honor, because you can meet people who do a lot of great things, but you're a great person doing great things,
Yeah.
and
Thank
that's
you.
what people feel from you. And it's really it's energy. I'm just sitting here feeling it, like it's actually palpable.
Well,
And
thank you,
yes,
girl.
and like I'm so happy. I'm just so happy. We're so happy
Aw,
for
I
everything that you've
appreciate
created
you.
and everything that you will create.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
thank you for being an
received that.
inspiration.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me. That's how it works. If y'all
y'all
receive
know-
me in your heart.
Y'all know how I am. And I love the story behind.
This
Come
is
on.
come on now.
There's always a
Bec-
story.
Because what's important is remembering that, and you say this all the time, things can change overnight, things can change over a year. And so there was a time
yeah.
when you and Chance were living in LA and you were like, oh, we don't even know if we like each other right now. And so even thinking about that right now, as you're about to go on tour with your man,
Yeah.
retired your man, by the way,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? Doing things that you both love to do as a purpose. And so, and as a mom going through all of that, like that's what we here for, the families, the mamas. So will you talk a little bit about like navigating that time? Like maybe everybody doesn't know. So like how many years ago was this? And like, how did you navigate self-care, parenting, and wifing when it was like, I don't know what we doing.
I think that there's a misconception that that's one time, right? Me and my husband been together 26 years, and we got together as, I always say, as children, because we were 19. Therefore, I didn't know myself as a woman, and he didn't know himself as a man. And so we were growing up together in our relationship. And we got married very young, 23, 24 years old, and we moved to LA a year after we got married, from the South, right? From our village, from everybody. And as soon as we moved, my mama got sick. And those were the hardest times of our relationship. When you have a parent who is sick, you don't realize in your vows through sickness and in health, it also means your extended family.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean me and you. And going through that, he had never lost anyone, and still has never lost anyone that's close to him in family, where I've lost so many people.
Yeah.
And so going through that, he didn't know how to love me through it. And I didn't know how to express what I needed because I was too angry because you didn't try to help me, right? And my time was really more so focused on my mama. And so I think that was the start of like, I don't like you. I love you, because we love by default. We got hearts, right? But I don't like how you're treating me. I don't like how you are processing the situation. And at that age, my thought was I shouldn't have to tell you how. Right? And sometimes
I was like, at that age, I was like, at this age, shoot.
But you're also learning how you even feel.
Exactly, going through it all.
I've lost my dad. Ashley lost her sister, like in different timelines in terms of our romantic relationships.
Yeah.
But like I'm still trying to figure out how I feel 10 years later.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, in navigating that, we still had to be parents, right? And so I always now look back at the positive. I had to keep going back home to North Carolina because that's where my mama was. He was here by himself with our daughter, who was at the time 4, 5, and 6. Those are the years that my mother was sick until she passed. And he held it down in that way, also while going through the police academy. So stress levels were extremely high. We're in this new city. We are from the country in Los Angeles. You're becoming a police officer. Like, there was so much that I also didn't consider because I was in my own space. And going through it, you don't think about any of that. You just think about how you feel. And the one thing I can say is that we did always put parenting kind of before us. I've always done that until the last maybe 7, 8 years. I had to figure out that, oh no, I got to come first even before them kids.
You gotta put me first.
Even before them kids, okay? Because I can't show up and be the best mama. So there was no real me time. There was no self-care. We really just started talking about self-care in the last 10 years, let's be honest. I think wine was my self-care. Back then, I'd be like, let me give me a glass of wine and relax myself, okay? She still be self-care sometimes. Hello there. Available at Target.
Drop.
No, that's
Drop.
right.
But
that's right.
but yeah, I think I also did. I developed, I guess, an appetite for working out. That was something that I used to do to like kind of clear my mind, especially after my mother passed away, and we weren't talking as much, because now it's like, okay, the thing that was causing us a lot of issues has passed on, but now we got to sit with it.
Yeah.
And now it's an uncomfortable feeling. And so instead of like sitting in the silence, I'd be like, I'm gonna go hiking, or I'm gonna go, you know, it used to be the sand dunes that people used to work out on. And me and my girlfriend, we would go there like every day and do that. Those were kind of like my ways of navigating through, if that answers the question.
I have a question, because you said there was a time period where you were with your mom and he was with your daughter over here. What was that like for you? Like, I think the duality of caring for your mother, who cared for you most of your life, but you have a child also to care for, and you're long distance now.
Yeah.
Like, how was that navigating that for you?
It was tough, but that's the part that my husband made easier for me. And I would go like 3 weeks at a time, come home, go 6 weeks at a time, come home. I think the longest time might have been maybe 7 weeks I was home with my mama and then came back, but it would always be like, because I always had a job here in LA. I was working at Macy's, and thankfully I had a boss that was like, we're gonna say you won't leave, we're just not gonna do the paperwork this time, or whatever.
Shout out to that
And
person.
right, because I had maxed out. You know,
Yeah.
it would start over every year, but I was like, my mama is dying, right? And so he really helped with that, but it was like a guilt that you would feel, as you know, mom guilt, parent guilt is a real thing. But I also had daughter guilt,
That's,
you know, so it's like, if I had knew how sick she was, I would have never moved. But she often told me, she was like, because literally, we moved October of 2004, Halloween weekend. My mama was diagnosed. She was sick when we left, but we thought it was nothing. The doctors kept telling her she had vertigo or inner ear infection. And by June of 2005 is when they diagnosed her with ALS. And so she used to always tell me, she said, God had to make sure that you had moved before they diagnosed me, because you would have never left, and you got a life to live in California. And so, yeah.
getting emotional.
Yeah, but that's the truth. You know, you get one mama, and if you're blessed, you have a great one. And I had a phenomenal mother. And so she's right. I would have not left her. And so I went home as often as I could. And even the amount of times I was there, I still felt like, I could have did more. Yeah.
It's you know, listening to you talk, thank you for sharing. Listening to you talk, probably gonna cry too. We all are
Crying right now.
Well, because I'm a co-parent, and so with my children's father, his father was diagnosed with the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And I was taking care of his father. And I feel like he didn't see that. He didn't, like, meaning their father, and it created that distance. It created that, you don't appreciate me, I don't like you, you know. And so it's interesting to, in hearing you speak, help me to identify what that is, you know. So just thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
On so many
It's very
levels.
hard. You know, ALS is taxing to watch somebody be completely perfect and slowly go to sleep.
Slowly.
Their body just slowly goes to sleep. You know, I remember it always sticks out in my head, something so simple. I remember the day my mama couldn't open her water bottle because her hand just was too weak. And she was like, can you open this for me? I'm like, you can't open the bottle? She was like, mm-mm. But she never made a big deal about it. It was just like, can you open it? But it always, you know, every time I open a bottle, I realize, oh, I'm so blessed to open a bottle of water. Yeah.
It, like you said, it's like it's slowly. It's like you never know. It's like, okay, well, what is it gonna be today? And then now it's like, oh, now your neck muscle doesn't move, or you can't lift your arm, and it's like, you know,
It travels rather quickly. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't say nothing. No.
I asked her,
I need a
said,
minute.
"Did you want to say something?"
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like, you mentioned the seasons of, you know, y'all, any marriage, any relationship is going to have highs and lows. Was there ever a point where you felt, or where you were sure, okay, we're on track now, even though there's still going to be lows, but from a marriage standpoint, from a stability of home standpoint, was there a point where you felt like we've crossed that hump?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we decided, we moved to Palmdale, right? And we were in a good place, not a great place, but a good place. And this was 2009. And my mom passed in 2007. And so we had been working through it, you know, slowly. And then in 2010, early that year, we looked at each other and we was like, if we stay in Palmdale, we're gonna get a divorce. And we don't want to get a divorce. We want this to work. And we just realized like the space, the city, the energy was not good for us. And we were dedicated to making our marriage like really work and what we needed for both of us. He knew as an actor I needed to be back closer to LA, and that's the thing that gave me joy. And he was like, I want that for you. And I knew for him, driving as a police officer at the time, going back and forth every day. I mean, we put like 40,000 miles on our car in a year. It was crazy.
Oh, that's life.
And he was like, and I knew he needed that as well. And so when we moved to the Valley, it was like I need you and you need me. Like we both need each other to be well.
Yeah.
And it was just like a new leaf had been turned over for us. And that's when we both, the next year we was like, you want to have a baby?
I was gonna ask that. I was like,
Yeah, because we never wanted to have any more kids. We had the 2 girls. He has, a daughter from high school.
Okay.
And we had my daughter Choice. And so they're 6 years apart. And we was broke for a very long time. And so we feel like we're good. We got 2 girls, we're good. And I was always like, my mama had 2 girls, exactly 6 years apart. I mean, it's almost identical. And so I was like, we're perfect. And before my mama passed, she told me, she was like, she told me what God had showed her for my life to come. And she said, but before any of it happens, you will have had a son. And I said, oh, Mama, we're not having no more kids, girl. But it's probably that medicine you on. And she was like, the Lord has showed me a son. And she was like, he gonna have my eyes. And I was like, okay, Mama, girl, go to sleep.
Like, okay,
Right, go to sleep. And so we both were solid on no more kids. And we had moved to the Valley, and we both woke up one morning, and we both looked at each other like we had almost planned it. And at the same time, we was like, you want to have another baby? And we both was like, like we said it at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
Aligned.
yeah.
The
I
yes
was like,
energy will always.
yeah, I was like, I do. He was like, I think I want to try to have a son. I was like, me too. And 3 months later,
Wow.
and what's so funny, we went to the doctor, get a physical, because I had been on birth control for 10 years. And so we went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, you've been on birth control for quite some time. It may take your body about 6 months to start ovulating again, and blah, blah, blah. Don't be, discouraged if it doesn't happen quickly, whatever. We got in the car, Chance was like, let me tell you something. I know my boys can still swim. Don't pay no attention to that later. I was like, babe, just relax, okay? But 3 months later, I was pregnant with my son.
That's beautiful.
I was like, and then when he was born, he had these big eyes,
Yeah.
just like my mama.
Did your mom's vision align with how your life is now?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Oh,
Did you already feel it before she said that too? Or did that also help with
I've always felt something.
Yeah.
And my husband will always tell you that, we grew up together, so he's known me since we were kids. I've always said, like, my daddy has old, like, videos of me from being a kid where he'd be like, what you gonna do when you grow up? I'm like, I'm gonna be famous. I'm going to Hollywood. Like, I've always felt different inside. So anytime I was working, like, jobs, I would just look at myself in the mirror when I go to the bathroom, and I'd be like, girl, I know you here, but for a flash, I would see myself, like, on a set.
Wow.
Or like walking a carpet, and I'd be like, I know this is temporary. I don't know when it's coming, but I used to tell my husband, something is coming. I could walk outside and the wind would feel different on my skin. And that's when I knew that things were shifting and that time was starting to change. And so when my mama told me that, it was confirmation for me for the things that I've always felt. Like it's confirmation for you in this moment.
Yeah.
But I remember her telling me, I can't give you all the details. But the one detail that she could tell me was that I was going to have a son. And then the one thing that she told me, she said, and when things start to happen, you won't have to do any of that auditioning stuff you're used to doing. She said, all you're going to have to do is pick up the phone and say yes.
Girl.
And I said, now, Mama, I don't know how.
When's your mom's birthday?
You got December 8th.
Ooh, she's a Sagittarius.
She was a December.
your husband.
December, yeah.
Ooh, I love
and she
it.
loved him, honey. Listen.
It also sounds like obviously hearing you speak and just your energy, it radiates God, and it sounds like your mom also, was tapped into that space, into that
absolutely.
energy, and I truly feel like that's where it comes from, is when spirit is communicating you know, at the time. And the reason why I'm getting emotional, I was thinking about her. She hit me up the other day, and she was concerned about me. I'm always doing so many things. I have my kids, I co-parent, I have my clothing brand, Somebody's Mama, I have a nonprofit, I do so many things. And so to hear you speak, and I've always been like this, and I've always felt different. I've always known it's something different, and I would just stay focused on God. And so Ashley's like, you know, just, you know, basically be mindful. And I told her, I said, I'm just built differently. It's something bigger. It's something that is happening, and literally every single word that is coming out of your mouth sounds exactly how I feel. And I believe it's even yesterday, this morning, I went on a drive at 3 a.m. And I was talking to God. I said, I don't know what you're doing, but I can feel it, and I'm going really, really fast, but I'm trusting you. I'm just letting you know. I don't know what we're doing. The ride feels a little fast, but, and I feel like this is the perfect confirmation on so many levels. Like, this is such a gift. Like, my whole entire soul is just.
I love that for you.
Yeah, I do too. I'm so thankful. Okay, carry on.
It's gonna be a good year.
I'm like, oh my
Okay,
God.
We need to hear that.
You know,
We need
I
to
know.
hear that.
It's
Please
gonna-
say it again.
It is.
It's
It
gonna be
is.
a
You
good
know,
year.
through fire still comes greatness.
Yeah, you know, okay, so this will pivot us into our next question. So, in terms of you being a mom, you being a business owner, you doing all the things that you do and done, can you bring us back to when there was moments of, you know, doubt, when there's moments of you feeling unstable, when there's moments of you just kind of like, how did you handle that? What did you do? What is your, you know, what did your routine look like? You know, like, can you talk us through that?
You know, it's always hard for me with that because I didn't necessarily have a routine, not for myself. I was on autopilot of being a mama. You know, I was a mama before I was a wife, right?
Same.
I was a mama before I was a woman, right? So, and I always had a job. Even though I was always pursuing, I always was working, you know? So my routine was get these kids up in the morning, make this food,
Right.
take them to school, go to work. Sometimes on my lunch break, go pick up one of the kids, take them home, go back to work, get off again, pick up the other kid, go home, cook dinner, have, you know, and repeat the next day. And some of those days, okay, I can't pick them up at this time. They're gonna have to stay in the after school program because I got an audition this day. I'm gonna have to go to the audition this day. It was just figure it out as I went. Then I started taking acting classes. So that was like my Mondays and my Thursday nights. And I remember when I struggled with taking the class. And I wrote about this actually in my last book, I Did a New Thing. I was so afraid to, firstly, because my husband depended on me to like cook and do all the things, and my kids, you know, at that time it was just a choice at the house. And I was like, who gonna cook the food? They can't survive if I'm at class on Monday night. And I just remember my mama saying, did you move out there to just be cooking at night? Or did you move out there for acting? She said, you better go to that class. And I was like, okay. And I remember telling Chance, like, I'm gonna start taking acting classes on Monday nights and then have rehearsals on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, who?
Right.
What you mean? Yeah.
What the hell you think you
Right,
going?
exactly. And it was a lot of like,
bring your
you
kid
know,
to
and I was
class.
like, and I remember going the first day, and when I got home, I was thinking all these things, Lord, what did they eat or how? Like, and I got home and everything was fine.
Yep.
And I said, well, would you look at that? It all worked out. Without me, they survived.
Yeah.
That's
and
a
but we
lesson
needed
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
No, so I was gonna ask you. Your family is incredibly close, and like it seems like very sacred to you. Knowing now, like where you are with your career, like how have you been able, especially like when you mention. Well, I didn't know your husband was a police officer until you retired him, and then you said it. But like, even if you feel comfortable talking about, like, how did you, number one, navigate that? Because I think when you retired him, it was kind of like on the heels of a lot of that like energy that was happening in the world towards police. So like, how do you protect your family basically, like with sharing personal things and maintaining your career? Like, how are you able to create, like, what do you do? You know what I mean? Or
I think for me, I always, like on my personal, when it's just me, I'm kind of an open book.
Yeah.
When it comes to my family, I share what they're comfortable with, because I have to respect that.
Yeah.
And my husband is very private, right? It took him a long time to even get on camera. Like now, for us to be going on tour, that's the Lord, okay? He has work in him. But when he was a police officer, everybody knew that was like our family and friends out here, but nobody just knew me.
Right.
Right? It wasn't until people started to know who I was, then people were like, wait, her husband do what? If you had like, in the early stages of me doing Facebook Lives every day, I used to cook live every day at 5. People knew because he would come home from work and I'd be cooking, but you would never see him. You would just hear his voice, and he'd be like, Lord, you got them people looking at our house again. He was like, oh,
Sagittarius.
Yes, he'd be like, man, I can't even go to the refrigerator. I'm just trying to get something to eat. I'm like,
people
babe,
looking in
I'm trying to do what the Lord has called me to do. He'd be like, man, the Lord ain't told you to do this, and you ain't even making no money. Like, you hear all this in the background. I'm like, babe, like, I just got off work, right? And I'd be like, y'all know he's a police officer. He done had a stressful day today, But it was just never something it didn't have anything to do with what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So there was no need to really
Share it,
talk
yeah.
about it often.
Yeah.
But I would often share that my desire always had been, when he took that job, is to retire him out of there.
Yeah.
That was our agreement. That was the thing I told him. And he never believed me. He'd be like, all right, babe. All right. I'm like, listen, give me 5 years. I'm going to take you out of there. And then the 5 years came, and I was like, ugh. Give me 5 more.
Well.
And then 5 more went. I was like, ugh. You know what? It's going to happen. I just can't tell you when, right?
I received that.
And then 15 years later, I was able to do so.
Yeah.
But he was, when we first moved to LA, he worked at a law firm downtown. It was kind of like, I forget what you would call, like when people would call in to get like, what was the one that people used to get back in the day, like prepaid legal?
Yes.
Remember
yes,
that?
Yes.
So it was very similar to that.
Okay.
But it was like a call center environment.
Got it.
And so when he, we from the country, from the South, so police was not like our friends growing up. And he went on lunch break downtown, and he was standing on, and my husband used to have long dreads. And so we both used to have locks, but his was very long. And he went to lunch, and he was like, standing on the corner. You know how they have food trucks and all the things. And 2 black police officers had like rolled up. And he was like, the first thing he noticed is they had waves in their hair. He was like, they were like real black men, like real brothers. And he was like, but immediately he got like on guard because where we from.
Yeah.
And he said when they got out, they was like, hey, what's up? How you doing? He was like, like y'all talking to me like we cool. And he thought, am I in trouble? Like, all the thoughts. And he said that they was just having a conversation with him because the building he worked in was Oscar De La Hoya, the boxer. Oh. And they was like, yo, you know whose building this is? Like, they were like excited because they knew that, this boxer had this building. He was like, yeah, I work in this building. He was like, you ever met him? Like, he was like, they was talking to me like real people. And then afterwards he said, they were like, hey man, you ever thought about being a cop? And he was like, no, I ain't never really thought about it, But when he came home, it's all he could think about. He was like, they was real brothers.
Yeah.
He was like, what if I did join and I could be like that for other black people,
Yep.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, babe,
Also, what if he went to a different food truck that day?
Come on, yeah.
Because he was right where he was supposed to
He
be.
was right where he was supposed to be. But that's what started the journey. Yeah. So it was never like one of those things where we want to do this or he wanted to do this, but I'm one of those people, if you say you want to do it, I'm going to get all the paperwork ready. Honey, when he said, I think I want to do it, he came home the next day from work. I had printed out all the stuff for the test, the day they was doing it. Here you go, babe. You want to go do it? He had to say he wanted to be an astronaut, babe. I ordered this Amazon astronaut suit. But that's just how I am.
Same, yeah.
But I always just knew that he was very private no matter what. So I just never inserted him any way that he didn't feel comfortable.
No, that's
Yeah,
good to
I
hear.
love that.
Yeah, because
I think that's important.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say something. I think as influencers, especially like me and Fee do that a lot. I mean, Melanie obviously, but like I feel like my husband is the same way. He's like super private, and I'm always like, well, he calls me a witch, but I am a witch. And then I always tell him I'm gonna retire him too. And he's like, he's been saying, well, 16 years later, he's like, okay, girl, that's cute.
Anytime now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I feel like I like to see that and also hear the journey of a partner, because I think trying to incorporate your partner into that life and them having I don't like to say regular job, but like a typical job. Like my husband, he works in insurance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just like holding the family down. And he's like, okay,
Absolutely.
well, what creative idea do you have now?
Yeah.
He's like more like you too, where I'm like, if I want to do something, he's like, I was like, I want to write in TV. He's like, here's a computer, figure it out. You know what I mean? I made my children's book on my own, and he figured out how to get the scan, what is the ISBN number, whatever. The thing
That
on the
little
back of
that
it.
little thing in the back of the book.
But like, he called China up and was like, print my baby's book. Like, you know what I
love
mean?
it, yeah.
But I think it's important too, though, just for a lot of people, they feel like, specifically, like, I mean, we can say we're more the influencers, but just saying that, like, you see some people who are super famous and their partner is involved, like fully involved, and they're taking the photos and but there's also a journey to get there. And I don't think a lot of people have the patience for that, or realizing that you and your partner can have different callings and they don't also have to be a part of your, like, you know what I mean? You can have your separate life together, and what you do for a career, it doesn't have to involve your partner.
That's right.
But it's beautiful when you can, and then you can go on tour.
Okay, yeah, but you're so right, because Chance does not like all the lights and things, right? So when we go to events and stuff, he'll be like, go ahead, babe, I'm staying right here. If you need me, I'll be right here.
Right.
But like pictures and all the things, he cool on it. You know, every now and then he'll do a carpet. I'll be like, babe, let's get some pictures, you know. He'll be like, all right, babe, I'm gonna do one.
that, though.
Then this your moment. I want you to, like, he said, you don't want to work 20 plus years for this. I didn't. This not what I wanted.
It's a nice balance.
Hey, we
too.
love him.
There's
Yeah.
always one that's like
Yeah.
cheesing, and the other one's like, I'll be right here. You want me to hold your bag or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but he took
That's
that
beautiful.
job so that he was like, this is a good salary, benefits. He was like, I can do this and make it a career, and it's enough money for you to pursue your dream.
It's giving Chia.
Oh my gosh, I
My
love
husband's
this.
name.
Yeah, I love this.
I want to
love that
call out
too.
two things, because I've just so enjoyed listening to you speak and share the journey. Two things so important, I think, in the dynamic of you and your husband is that through it all, from being young parents, going through grief, I've always heard that, like, one of the most challenging things outside of like financial things that you can go through in a marriage is losing a parent. And you don't know who you're going to become, how you're going to respond, and who your person needs to be for you in those moments. But in this whole journey of everything that you said, no matter how difficult it got, I've heard partnership the whole way through.
Yeah.
You guys have maintained partners. It didn't sound that anyone was jealous of each other,
No.
resentful, so stuck on how they felt that they could not still show up for their partner, like looking at each other and saying, if we stay here, we're gonna get divorced and we don't want to. You need to be closer to where you need to be. I need to be well, we need to go. Like the conversation consistently has been partnership. And I think that, as women here, as mothers who, life is a journey. It's challenges, it's ups and downs. Everybody has their seasons, highs and lows. How you navigate those things together has just been really beautiful, and is, I think, totally attributed to the success of where you are today, because you guys have been able to be partners to one another. It's just really important, because sometimes it's easy. Ego will make us feel like we need to, well, it's about me this season and you got to take the back seat. And no, now it's about me because I took the back seat for all those years and now I got to go do, like,
When you realize you're both in the same car, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
exactly.
Right? Like, I could be in the driver's seat, but he's still in the front seat.
This is it.
He could be in the driver's seat, I'm still in the front seat. 'Cause
This is it.
we're together.
We're together, and but you're committed to going together.
Yes.
And I think that that's like very important for people to hear. And then the second thing that I heard was when you said, and it was about guilt and how you started the journey of going for acting classes and being like, I need to go do this. It took, and I think that this is something we talk about on the Mama's Den a lot, is the permission you have to give yourself to say, it's going to be okay. I don't need to cook dinners on Monday, and it's going to be okay. But what I need to do is give myself the permission to go to those acting classes to get to where I need to go.
That's right.
And I think that that's the thing that moms and parents often feel like, I don't know how to create the time for myself or the space. You have to ask, you have to say you need it. And just hearing you say that, like when you're like, how am I going to do it? You just did it.
Yeah.
You didn't think you could.
Doing
but
it
you,
scared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doing it scared.
Absolutely.
Realizing, it's all right.
Yeah.
Those
that's right.
those just two things, this concepts of your journey of just partnership and giving yourself permission to put yourself first, like you said, and be okay with that and know that it's going to be okay. That's something we talk about a lot for the moms, because again, that guilt of feeling like, am I in disservice to my children if I'm in service to myself?
Yeah.
You know, and we talk about the mom guilt thing, and I've recently decided that I don't want to subscribe to mom guilt anymore.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really ours to carry.
Right.
It's just not.
Right.
Right? It's something that I don't know who created it.
Man.
But right.
Man.
But it's
patriarchy.
not ours to carry.
Yeah.
You know,
I've decided that mom guilt is a check-in. It's an opportunity to be like, am I feeling guilty for doing something? Am I feeling like my kids need something that I can't give them, and is there another way for me to give it to them? So that's how I look at it now, but inspired by Melanie for sure.
I think the only time mom guilt is acceptable is if you're wrong. If you're wrong, if you did something wrong, and we have to classify wrong for ourselves,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But if we intentionally or unintentionally, after the fact, realize, oh, I was in the wrong there. Just like you may be in the wrong with your partner or on a job. Okay, in this moment, I can feel bad about that, and then acknowledge it. That guilt, I'll accept that because I was wrong.
Yeah.
But once I acknowledge that, then I'm all right.
I think it's just love too. It's just love redirected. Like I always tell people, if you're worried that you're a good parent, then you're probably a good parent. I don't think people that aren't care. So like the guilt is just really the love. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The love you were given, you want to give it back. You're giving it to your children in a different way than your mother gave it to you. I think we always try to compare. You know what I mean? Like my mom was this type of mom. I need to be this type of mom. But like it just changes and manifests itself, and we just have to like recalibrate that we're living in a different world. We have to show up differently, and it's just love. You want to.
Do we? Oh, we have a listener letter.
Yeah.
Miss Leanne, we have a
Okay.
listener letter. And
I'll
we would
read
Oh,
love
are
it.
people
Ew.
listening right now?
No.
I thought it was on Patreon. I didn't know y'all ain't live on Patreon.
No,
I
we're
feel like we should be.
Y'all not live on?
No, girl, but we heard about that.
we,
y'all not live?
No,
Tab
Cody
said-
Cody
I
tried
did
to lead,
bring it up. I
Cody
did.
tried to lead that
Y'all
train
she
now.
did.
And
Because you
multiple
making
people,
money in real time.
it's multiple people have
Miss
told us.
Tab said.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna listen to Miss Tab said because she got some. She got a few things right.
Yeah.
To get on Patreon.
Look,
I
Ashley,
just want to blame somebody.
Right. Miss, I don't have time to do anything else outside of show up.
I have
it's
4
not
kids.
me.
No, but then it's in real time, so you ain't got to do nothing extra.
No,
You do it exactly at the same time that
My
you're
one
doing
question
this.
about it. We're gonna read our letter, but
Oh,
I'm
I'm
like,
sorry.
then we gotta tell guests. You know, I don't want guests to feel uncomfortable if they're live, but I'm glad that you don't. So we'll do that next
No,
week.
hello, we are operating from integrity here.
We are.
Yeah, but then it's
that
only
the
a
truth?
Patreon people, which means it's only the people who truly love and support you.
Yeah.
Oh, and they know
And
already.
they know. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
let's get into this letter.
Tab
y'all.
We're gonna
said-
drop the
Y'all
Patreon
ready?
very soon. But for now, if you have questions for us, always email us at podcast@blacklove.com or hit us up on the internet. So who's gonna read the listener letter?
I got it.
Okay.
Okay, so ladies, folks are getting on my nerves. And it is starting to really disturb my spirit. For context, I'm a 32-year-old, college-educated, single creative from the Midwest. My brother is 10 and a half years my senior. So I've been an auntie since I was an 8th grader. My nephews are now in high school. I am not a mother, nor a wife, fiance, or girlfriend. And all of my younger cousins not only have children, they have multiple children. But I constantly feel like friends, family, and passersby try to make me feel less than for being childless and single. It's apparent that I'm expected to attend baby showers with a gift and a smile, but when I have a theater production, those same family members don't buy tickets and show up for me. I am an accomplished woman in the midst of trying to accomplish more, and I will not apologize for that. I've just mustered up the courage to really pursue my music and acting career. That is my baby right now. I'm just struggling with feeling these feelings and communicating this without offending anyone. So I be skipping these baby showers, child. Am I wrong for that? Signed, Pissed Off Single Auntie. And it's Miata_Shanae. I like that name.
Now, I'm sure we all feel the same about this.
How do we feel?
that she should live her life.
Live your life, girl.
Your life, sis.
Auntie it up. Okay.
I don't know. Do we not? What you
No,
feel?
yeah,
I
my
agree.
I don't believe in avoidant. You know me, I'm not an avoidant personality, and I
That's me.
believe confrontation, but it's not a negative thing.
Yes.
Aggression is negative, but like I would tell people, I would be like, hey guys,
Oh yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
you know, all them baby showers I'm going to, I have a production, and I would like for you to be there for me. And if you don't continue to show up, then I'm not going to continue to show up for you. I'm just more about like being very direct and laying it out. So then when you don't see me, you know why, and there's no question.
Yeah.
We're all
I like
very
it.
clear. So that's the only thing I would tell her. I would just articulate it, and you can say literally what you said, like, hey,
This
you guys
is my
aren't there
baby
for me.
right now.
Yeah, like you're not showing up for me, and I need you.
Yeah.
You're
But-
saying live your life in terms of like her not being a mama right now.
Right.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, that's
terms
how-
of like
yeah.
pursue her dreams,
Yeah.
feel her feelings, because it's not fair for people to be like, show up for me in all these ways and then they're not showing up for her. So I'm aligned with you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like
Yep.
she should do her theater, like pursue
Yeah,
her
same.
dreams and her baby, and also articulate to
Yeah.
her loved ones. I
Because
need
I
more.
don't think our society is programmed in that way to celebrate single people in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
for
think
real.
inherently people might not, their intention might not be to not be there for her. People don't often realize that like, as much as you love your child, someone doesn't want to have a child. or
Yeah,
even
and
right
that's
now.
okay.
And what's
Yeah.
in
And
their
that's
life
okay.
is the most important thing to them. And people try to quantify and equalize their children to everything else. And it's like also an unfair thing. The parents do. There was like, not a baby. Yeah, but that's the most important thing to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think she should give them grace, but also she needs to say it.
Yep.
Because once they know and then they don't do, then that's intentional.
I agree. I also suggest that you click forward and send this to everybody in the
This part.
family. And then you don't have to even say it. And now
Send everybody
everything-
this episode.
And now the mama's den is on your ass because we
Right.
also are with her. Okay,
You're an
the top
Aquarius?
auntie, we with
I'm
you,
an
girl.
Aquarius.
Yeah, both of my parents are. That is
Your
very
birthday's
much their
coming
behavior.
up.
Yeah, it's coming
Forward
up.
it to everybody.
Yeah, forward it to everybody. Say, I didn't know how to say this in person. So I put it right here in
and
this
that's
the
fair.
internet.
I
email.
love
the
doing
mama's
that.
den.
She had some italics. She had
Baby,
some
she was-
bold.
she was
shit.
passionate.
I
Express
really like the
herself.
way that she wrote. It helped me to really read it. I love when people write like
And
this.
you know, she said, I'm just struggling with these feelings and communicating this without offending anyone. This was not offensive.
At all.
So hit forward.
At all. She was
And then there
very
you have
respectful.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she was kind
Put it
and
in the family
considerate.
group chat.
Right.
Here you
Yeah,
go.
Absolutely.
Shoot, if you don't do it, girl, I'll do it for you. I'm a
Okay.
Scorpio. I'll click send for you.
Is this at Miata Chanel? That's her
That's her
Instagram?
handle, yeah.
Oh,
they
well,
know
girl, they
now.
know now, girl.
That's why I said the mama's den to put your business out here. We got you.
Honey, everybody.
We got you, Miata.
But
I
you
see you
got
at the
it,
baby
bruh.
shower.
But you know what, too? Also, I want to bring up this clip that was going around recently with Tracee Ellis Ross, and she was talking about, you know, how people can shame women for not being mothers or this. And she's like, the aunties and the sisters and the girlfriends, we've been mothering the world in a different way.
Amen.
And that is also a very necessary role.
Yes.
Like, so let that girl live her life. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a very necessary. I have some girlfriends, and they're like, I'm not interested in that, and they're hesitant to answer. But I'm like, girl, it is okay if you do not want to have kids. If you don't feel
is.
that.
But also, I think people forget how hard it is to be single.
Yeah.
For somebody to
That part.
choose that life, choose not to partner. They're choosing not to have somebody to help them in this life. They're choosing to walk alone on a journey. They're choosing not to have children to one day maybe have to help take care of them. Whatever the case may be, they're making these choices. That's not an easy choice to make. Just like getting married is not an easy choice to make.
Yeah.
But we all have to respect everybody's decision
Yeah.
on how they want to live their life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Single people, I see y'all.
See her on, come see her on tour.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes,
I
all
see
the
you.
singles.
All the singles
So
come
let's
on tour.
tell
Yes.
us where do we buy tickets for this tour?
You can go to IamTabithaBrown.com for,
right.
for all things, for the tour, for the books, for the Target, for all the things. But yes, please
Yes.
come to the tour.
Can't wait. Thank you so much for coming.
you have to come back.
I know.
I know. I was
We
like,
gotta
I
go to
feel like
lunch.
this
Trying to
went
go to
by
lunch.
so fast.
I didn't know.
I mean, you can stay.
What
We can
time is
skip
it?
one
It's
of our
1:15, baby.
episodes.
Oh,
Sure.
I have to leave. Oh, but I did tell them I could. Well, I told the lady outside I could stay to 1:30 if y'all still needed that because I changed.
Well, you
mine.
can stay. Just
Yes,
stay.
we can.
But
We
just
Yeah,
off
no,
my
let's
camera.
chit chat off camera.
Yeah.
on camera.
So Tommy was about to pull his camera up. He was like,
Oh,
"I'm
good.
time.
Okay, let me get Tommy. All right. Well, for
very
those of
good.
you who are listening to us, we will wrap this baby up. Check out Miss Tab. Check out Chance. I am TabithaBrown.com. Okay, go to Target. All her things are there. And then also catch the next episode of Mama's Den. All right.
Very good.
Everywhere.
Thank y'all for having
Thank
me.
you,
Thank
Tab.
you for being here, Tab.
What a gift.
You know.